The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Spotlight on the City of Greensboro and Triad Today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to a special edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Cuttersville. I say special because we're going to devote the entire half hour to saluting and recognizing and speaking with some of the folks that work behind the scenes to make things work in the city of Greensboro that benefit everybody. And we're going to start off this special program with a guest, Sri Dorsant. She's Chief Sustainability Officer for the city of Greensboro. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you so much.
Mother of 2 active children.
Yes.
Yeah, we were just talking about that off camera. And we're so glad that you're here. What I want you to do, though, is sort of talk about how the city departments support sustainability and resiliency goals. How does that happen?
We are actively building our network. The office was built, created over 2 years ago now. And so our aim is to continue, campaigning internally. We want to ensure that our operations are clearly transparent. We're showing the community that we're working really hard to reduce our carbon footprint, to do, provide services, externally as well. So we have created a internal sustainability committee, and these are delegates from each department that we're trying to we're still structuring, we're still building our structure, but we're trying to really involve them so that when it comes time for reporting annually, we have the data that we need. When it comes time for running different campaigns like recycling and different, best management practices for sustainability internally, we're able to communicate that clearly.
Yeah, because no matter the department that you bring in and when you're having the meetings, it's all sort of a interdisciplinary connected thing.
Yes.
We're all in it together.
We're all in it together. And when it comes to reporting, we just want our message to be consistent. We want people to be able to read this and understand what sustainability is and what the city is doing to promote sustainability, citywide.
Now, Sri, you sent me an email. I'm going to make sure I read something here. I don't have my glasses on, but you said in the email something about a sustainable landscapes project.
Yes.
What is that and how is that
We
started?
created an initiative because, with policy changes and things, occurring that touches sustainability, we thought it was good to develop some sort of initiative to show and provide some educational content around, things that you can do at home to create a more sustainable landscape, like leaving your leaves, and creating, we're even right now running a prettiest landscapes contest. And this really is, inviting for people who are wanting to do or wanting to think about sustainability and resiliency from a different perspective.
Yeah. Now, Earth Day is behind us at the time we're seeing this show, of course. But do you have anything else planned? Any events for the summer?
Our theme is all around youth engagement. So we have a host of different engagements, such as Green Girls, where we're working with high school students around science, STEM, science engagement studies. And we're also on July 11th, we're having a trash bash. We're partnering with Revolution Meal and Reconsidered Goods. And so we're going to have 5 teams of students that will build freestanding sculptures from reused goods.
Wow.
And so we're going to actually have judges that will judge it, and it's going to be a very family-friendly event.
Before we lose time, you had the Keeping the Green in Greensboro campaign. How's that going?
So the grant, we're actually in the process of signing everything and planning a kickoff this summer. So we're really excited to get a consultant on so that we can have a citywide tree canopy assessment that a comprehensive one has not been done in the city since 2009.
Right.
So we want to get that done, have a prioritization for where we're wanting to do some engagement in our disadvantaged communities of Greensboro. And that will help us kind of get the communities acquainted with what's going to happen. And then we'll start our tree planting in year 3.
Wow.
It's a 5-year project.
I think that's great. Up on screen, greensboro-nc.gov is the general website, has lots of portals you can go to.
And
to
check
learn
out
about
the office when you go to the Greensboro site. Just type in OSR, that's our acronym.
Okay.
And it'll take you straight to the site to give you a lot of information.
Type in OSR.
Yes.
Shree, thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks so much. This is great.
Come back and see us, will you?
We will.
We'll be right back after this.
The world's brightest are Fulbrights, Goldwaters, McNairs, and Spartans. Prestigious doesn't have to be expensive.
And we know you will make a difference wherever you go.
UNCG. Find your way here.
Back now on our special edition of Triad Today as we salute the city of Greensboro and the many folks who work behind the scenes to keep things going and working for all of us. And we turn now to a first-time visitor to the show, Griffin Hatchell, who's Director of Solid Waste and Recycling for the city of Greensboro. Good to see you, sir.
Nice to see you too, sir.
Now, you were just recently named to lead this department. So I guess my question is, as you're looking ahead, what are your first priorities? What are you thinking about has to be done?
Well, I think we need to fill all the vacancies we currently have to help our workload for our staff. The next, I would like to look at and review some processes that we have, kind of streamline solid waste and recycling operations to be more friendly and provide that service to the residents, but also help our employees as well.
Right. Now, let's talk about yard waste specifically, because this is on a lot of people's minds. How has Greensboro improved the yard waste service over the years, do you think?
So with the addition of the yard waste container and the elimination of plastic bags, we provided a better service for our residents, user-friendly, but we also have made it safer and more efficient for our employees. As a result of that, participation and the yard waste that we've collected has increased.
And it's got to be, as you said, everybody had been bagging that up. Well, really, that's true all over the state. And as you move away from that, it's good for the environment, too.
Yes, sir.
It's not going to have all those bags in there. What about loose leaf management collection? How are we doing in the city of Greensboro in terms of managing the loose leaf collection?
Yeah, so the city has discontinued using the loose leaf vacuum trucks. Now residents are required to place the leaves in the city-issued containers. Any overflow they would need to place in the biodegradable paper bags. During the leaf collection season, which is the 1st of November through the 2nd week of February, we will pick up up to 15 biodegradable paper bags, and that's an increase from 10 previously.
Okay. Now, what strides has the city made, do you think, in recycling, specifically when we talk about identifying contaminants? What about that? Are we doing a good job, and what strides have we made in that?
We currently, for the past 4 years, over the 4 years, we have decreased contamination by 40%, which is extraordinary. We've done that by going face-to-face with residents and giving them direct and specific feedback to help improve our recycling program. Starting in July, we will have 3 out of the 10 city recycle trucks be fitted for AI cameras, which will help us even more provide education and outreach to our residents to further that percentage.
We didn't rehearse this or anything, but I was just curious. A lot of people are still unclear about what they should and shouldn't put in a recycle bin. You know, give me some, just off the top of your head, some do's and don'ts, things you shouldn't put in there, things you should put in there.
Well, so the recycled container has a QR code. So the MRF, depending on where you take it, can change throughout the year. So they may accept one material here, and then next year they accept a different type of material. So we'll put a QR code on top of the recycling bins, and you can scan that, and we actually, for the website, and we'll show you what we accept and what we don't. But I would ask that when you do put food products in there, you rinse the container out and then place it in the recycle bin instead of just throwing it in there. Empty your aluminum cans before you dump them in the recycle bin as well.
Anything absolutely never put in those things?
Pizza boxes.
Seriously?
Yeah. So we don't accept pizza boxes. They'll go into the trash because of the food and grease and that cardboard.
Gotcha. Okay, I got
Yeah,
you. Well,
yes,
that makes
sir.
sense. That
Yep.
makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Now, how can residents stay up to date? Because just like the things you and I are talking about now, sometimes it can be a little complicated. We
Yes,
want to
sir.
know what the rules and regs are. Do you just go to the general website, or how can we keep up with that?
So you can go to the city of Greensboro's website and get all that information. But we also have an app, GSO Collects, and we are encouraging our residents to get this GSO app. And what it does is provides update for holidays or inclement weather. If your schedule changes through that,
Yeah.
you're able to go through the app and see when your collection day is for yard waste, garbage, or recycle. But also, if you have a complaint or concern, you can also do that on the app as well.
Right. But for old guys like me that don't do apps, I can just call you at home and say, hey, Griffin, what's going on? No, I won't do that to you.
Yes, sir.
Up on screen is the general website. We talked about greensboro-nc.gov, the general website. Griffin, I appreciate all you're doing to help the environment, to help the consumers and the residents of the city, and working behind the scenes to keep us going. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today is now streaming on WFMY Plus, available free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Back now in this special edition of Triad Today, as we salute the folks who work mainly behind the scenes to make things happen and help folks throughout Guilford County, city of Greensboro. And with us right now is Christine Moore. She's Deputy Director of Operations for something called Guilford Metro 911. Sounds pretty self-explanatory, but I want to learn more about it. Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What's the average 911 call volume that your team handles each year? I mean, what does it round out to?
So we handle roughly about 330 to 340,000 911 calls, and non-emergency calls we do about 240,000, and all total telephone transactions with returning phone calls and things like that, we do about 740 to 750,000.
Oh man!
Yes, sir.
Now what does a typical day look like in the Guilford Metro 911 Center, and what are some of the common calls you get?
Oh goodness, we take everything from people that have locked themselves out of their vehicle to people in cardiac arrest. So we're doing everything from providing CPR instructions to, letting people know what to expect when an officer comes out when their car's been broken into.
Right.
The day is never something that you can expect what your next call is.
Always
gonna be
something
and prepare.
different.
Always something different.
Now, is Guilford Metro 911 structured in such a way that it corresponds to jurisdictions that you serve? Or explain that to me, because it's a big area.
It is. So we dispatch for Greensboro Police, Greensboro Fire, Guilford County Sheriff, Guilford County Fire, and Guilford County EMS. The only agency we don't service that is in Guilford County is High Point City.
Okay. Now, one of the things, we didn't rehearse this, but I'm always curious to get your take on this. There's sometimes folks will use 911 and it really isn't warranted. I know you talked about you have a wide range of calls. Do you have any tips or advice on how to best use 911?
So my philosophy has always been that if you even think that you should call 911, you probably should. I would much rather, I would much rather you call and it be nothing than you not call and it be something.
Right. You don't know for sure if you have a heart attack or something, but call if you're not sure.
Exactly.
All right. You and your team were recently recognized for something called Life Saves. I think that was awarded for 2023. What's that all about, and how many lives were saved?
So we were credited with being involved with 54 life saves last year. And what that means is that our telecommunicator was actually walking a caller through providing CPR to a patient until first responders arrived.
That's just amazing.
It is.
And by the way, congratulations on that, because I appreciate the work you're doing. All right, now let's talk about when you're hiring new folks and looking for new folks. And I guess you're always looking to hire people to help out. What qualities do you look for when you're trying to hire somebody to bring them on maybe as a telecommunications worker? What are you looking for?
So we're looking for a couple of things. So we're looking for people that can multitask, do multiple things at once, because our telecommunicators are dispatching calls and answering calls all at the same time. So you have to be able to do multiple tasks at once. You have to be able to type. You have to have great customer service, be patient. Callers call in on their worst day of their life, right? And so some people respond in different ways to their emergency. And so you have to be able to remain calm and be that kind of calm in the chaos.
Have to have some personal skills to be able to relate to people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Empathy is a huge part of what we do.
Because like you said, people call and it's their worst moment. They're nervous, they're scared, they don't know what to do, they're panicked. They need a calming voice.
Exactly.
Let me ask you a personal question. What gratification do you get from working in this arena and running this office? What do you get from it?
The most rewarding part of it for me personally is knowing that I am making an impact day in and day out in the lives of the citizens. My husband works for the sheriff's department, so I obviously get some fulfillment with serving his agency and getting to make sure that things are being done right for him and his team, but also for all of our other first responders, but primarily the citizens, because like you said, they're in that emergency. Nobody wakes up and thinks I'm going to dial 911 today, right? And so the fact that they are, and I can be that calming voice for them, and my team can be that calming voice for them, it is truly rewarding and fulfilling.
Well, bless your heart. That's just so neat. And maybe you and your husband should probably get like a team award or something for that. Up on the screen, greensboro-nc.gov is the general website to find out more about what's going on in the city of Greensboro. And Christine, I really do appreciate all you're doing for folks. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
North Carolina's economy is growing, bringing new businesses and opportunities. The need for electricity is growing too. At Duke Energy, we're meeting the challenge, providing even more electricity that's cleaner, reliable, and that stays affordable. We're getting out of coal and reinvesting in our communities with a diverse, balanced mix of energy sources and making targeted upgrades to the grid so that North Carolina can thrive in a smarter energy future.
Back now on this special edition of Triad Today as we salute the folks who keep things going in the city of Greensboro. And none more important than the job this gentleman does. We welcome to the program for the first time Jim Robinson, Fire Chief for the city of Greensboro. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. How large is the fire department in Greensboro? How many fire stations do you have? Bring me up to speed on that.
So we have 27 fire stations, and we have a number of contract stations that are in Guilford County, but 27 that house city equipment. And right now, our authorized strength is 611.
Okay. I think this is true of any kind of thing, whether it's sports or anything else. You always have armchair quarterbacks, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I saw the fire chief on TV. You know what you ought to do? You ought to put up a fire station near my house."
Sure.
But there are a lot of things that have to be considered before you construct a fire station. Bring me up to speed on that.
So, the basics are we have what we call a standard of cover. We call it our SOC, and that really drives everything that we do. And to break it down in simple terms, one engine company or the first company needs to be within 4-minute travel time of your house or business.
All right.
And the entire effective response force needs to be within 8 minutes. So we advertise it. We want to put 17 firefighters on any doorstep in Greensboro in 10 minutes and 20 seconds.
Okay. All right, now let's talk about something similar to that, maybe move from the residential realm to economic development. We've been real fortunate in this area, in the Triad, the Piedmont, getting new industries to come in. That means adding jobs. That means a whole lot of things. What are you doing as fire chief to sort of adapt to all this growth and jobs and everything and new industries coming in and building plants?
Sure.
What are you doing to adapt?
Well, I'll first admit it's been one of our biggest challenges to see the growth that we've had, to keep up with the growth. So we hired a contractor to do some growth management plans for the fire department to assist us. And we were fortunate enough to be a recipient of $9 million for the American Rescue Plan.
Great.
Funds. So we are taking that funding, going out and actually purchasing property in anticipation of that growth. So we're trying to stay ahead of the curve. And that's really going to help us 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road of already having that property. We've secured 3 or 4 pieces already that are, in areas we know growth is coming.
Yeah, I think it was Carla Banks was telling me recently about some historic promotions that you made in the department. What is that about?
Well, I think it's twofold. Since taking over, I have done 147 promotions in around 3 years. So
Right.
that is historic. But we have promoted our first African-American female captain. We've promoted our first 2 African-American engineers, which are drivers, and our first Asian Pacific Islander to captain.
Good to see some women getting involved, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're seeing what happened, 10, 15, 20 years ago. We're seeing those efforts pay off by folks moving up the ranks.
Yeah, because when you and I were, of course, I'm a lot older than you. When I was growing up in the 50s or whatever, you wouldn't see any female firefighters. And then now that's changed.
It is, absolutely. We have around 35, 38 females in our force.
Right. What's the most significant change you think you've been able to make so far?
Taking over in the COVID era, number one was certainly came with changes. And I think when I speak to folks, I talk about sacrifice. The job that we do is about sacrifice. And it's not just the firefighters making sacrifice, it's the families. The significant other, the kids, missing birthday parties, Christmas, and the great resignation or the great rethink. We had historic numbers leave our organization for 2 years in a row.
Same with a lot of industries, same with police, same with teachers.
Yes, it certainly was a challenge for us. And I think probably one of the biggest changes that I had to make, I was forced to make, was mandatory overtime. Instituting mandatory overtime with that sacrifice I'm talking about, it impacted the entire organization.
You and I were, I sort of cheated, and before we started doing the show, I was asking you about your background, because I was wondering, why, what led you to a career in being a firefighter, because it's such a tough job. But you said your dad was a firefighter?
He was a volunteer firefighter. That's correct.
Where did he volunteer?
In Rose Hill, North Carolina.
Okay. So good role model for you?
Absolutely, yeah. 2 great parents, still alive, still living in Rose Hill. He ran a small business in town, and it was kind of a rite of passage that you had to join. So I joined that volunteer department when I was 16 years old. That was the earliest you could join, and that kind of set me on that career path.
Well, I'm glad it did. I appreciate that. Up on the screen, the general website for the city, greensboro-nc.gov. But Chief, I hope you will come back and visit with us sometime, and I appreciate, because you're on duty 24/7. I know it's a tough job, but thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com.
Baby, watch me fly. Baby, watch me soar. Baby, watch me fly. I will open up the sky.
Fly local, fly easy, fly PTI.
Spartans are the teachers, artists, nurses, scientists, and leaders who build our communities.
Back now in our final segment for this special edition of Triad Today, as we salute the good folks that work behind the scenes in the city of Greensboro to keep things going. And we have a delightful lady with us right now to talk about libraries and museums. Bridget Blanton is Director of the Department of Libraries and Museums for the city. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I'm going to tell a tale, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but now you've been working with the city for just over 30 years.
36 to be exact.
36. You don't look old enough to work 36. But anyway, how have library services evolved from those days to now?
Well, I think a lot of it is we had books then, we had films back then. Today, what we have is we have books, we have ebooks, we have DVDs, which are actually phasing out even right now. So the evolution has been is that what was there stayed, and we've just added. We've added the e-resources. We've added the ability to use our resources online. Right. And so a lot of times people thought the internet and ebooks would take libraries out of business, and they didn't, obviously. And for us in the Greensboro Public Library, we actually embraced both of those and just, upped our ebook collection so that people could have access, which was great during the pandemic. And then with the internet, we just started teaching people how to use it, because it's important for people when they're using it to know that what they're researching and the answers that they're getting are actually valid. And that's what we specialize in.
Absolutely. Now, you sent me an email one day with a phrase on it that says conduit to destiny.
Yes.
Conduit to destiny. What did you mean?
So I believe, and I've always believed, and therefore it is actually a trademark tagline for us, is that the library has the ability to get you anywhere that you need to be. We are that conduit, whether you want to be a doctor, lawyer, preacher, teacher, astronaut, physicist, that we have information and resources that will allow you to build yourself, to get access to, and therefore reach your destiny.
Let's shift for just a minute to museums. And I'm wondering, why was it important to rename the Greensboro History Museum?
So back in 2016, when they were going through a rebranding and they were looking at trends, we found out that when you use the term historical, a lot of times people assume that that's exclusive because of historical societies.
Right.
And as we were looking at what we needed to do, what was happening in national trends, a lot of museums were taking museum out of the title. We didn't want to do that. So we changed it to the Greensboro History Museum, which means it's about the past, but it's also building on the present for the past or future generations to be able to look at.
Now, didn't the museum receive some kind of national recognition? What was that all about?
So they've actually received several with the American Association of Small and State and Local Library Museums. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But with that, it has been because they did during the pandemic when people weren't going anywhere. They actually did an exhibit that was based on the pandemic, what was going on during the pandemic, the protests that were happening then. And they actually created that exhibit during that time.
Okay.
It was probably one of the most diverse exhibits we've done as far as age as well as ethnicity. And so it's received 2 national awards for that. And then they've received 2 national awards for their democracy exhibit.
Now, what about, let's talk about the summer, because here we are going into summer. What kind of activities, what can library goers look forward to?
So if you have kids, go to any public library in Greensboro and there are going to be activities. So we believe that we actually, if people bring their kids to summer reading, that we're actually able to help decrease the summer slide. So kids that come and read and participate in our programs are less likely to lose the ground that they've gained during the year. And then adults, we do adult summer reading. So there are programs and services, and then for the adults, because we know how we are, there's baskets. So if you participate in a program, read so many books, you actually go into a drawing for a beautiful basket of gifts that we give away to do that. And the kids get gifts as well along the way for milestones. We stopped many years ago. We used to have a number, but we felt like that wasn't as important as the reading period during each section. So yes, that's it.
Before we lose time, since you and I are meeting here for the first time, I'm just curious, what's gratifying to you about your job that you've been doing for these years?
It's about community. That's why Conduit to Destiny. I truly believe that every day our library is helping to make somebody's life better. And that's why I do it.
Well, bless your heart for doing it. Up on the screen is a website I want you to check out, library.greensboro-nc.gov. So it's got library in front of it, library.greensboro-nc.gov. Bridget, thanks for all you do for everybody.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And that wraps it up for this special edition of Triad Today, as we saluted the folks who do such good work for the city of Greensboro. Our thanks to Carla Banks for her help in putting this program together. For all of us here at Triad Today, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.